everybody, welcome back to the wood shop. If you watch our videos a lot, you'll notice that we like making a lot of things out of pallet wood and scrap wood.
Today we're going to do another project using some scraps that we have on hand. You can see we've got various species of wood here. These are cutoffs that were left over from a large crate fulfillment that we did for Mr. Tibbs Trading Company this past winter. And if you want to see more about how we build some of those crates, you can click up here. But you can see we've got several pieces. We've also got a piece of project panel. It's about 1/4 inch thick that we had left over from a cabinet build. So we're going to be using that in this project too.
Since this is Easter time, we thought we would do our first holiday themed project. This one will be an art project centered around a cross.
We've already done some pre-planning just to make things a little bit easier. A lot of the time when we come to the shop, we have an idea in our head of what we want to do, but this time instead of just winging it, we went and just made some very rudimentary plans. This is on Paint 3D. Everybody should have it if you have a desktop PC. And so we've kind of went ahead, calculated some dimensions to see how many boards we're going to need and what the final product might look like. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
As you can see by the sketch, we have all these individual pieces of wood at specific lengths, so when they're put together they leave a cross in the center, and behind it will be this project panel, so you'll see that in the background here and in the gaps that are between each board. Now the first thing we're going to do is rip this piece of project panel down to the size we need, which is 14 inches tall by 12 inches wide. Now we're going to go ahead and rip our boards to the final width they need to be, which is 1 1/4 inches, and the only two that will be any different is the ones on the very top and the very bottom. They will be 1 1/8 inches.
Alright, we've moved over here to the miter saw to cut the lengths of each of our boards. We've set up a stop at 5 3/8. That's what the majority of our boards are going to be. We need 12 of those. We need a couple that are 2 11/16, and then a couple that are 12 inches long. So let's go ahead and get these cut out. Alright, let me give you an update on the project. As happens oftentimes in woodworking, the best laid plans don't work out. We cut all of our pieces for our wall art, and as we were laying them out, we noticed that this horizontal axis was wider than our vertical axis, and we just didn't really like the way that that looked. So we went back and we cut these pieces to 5 1/8 instead of 5 11/16, and that really gave us the proportions that we were looking for. So now that we have all of our pieces kind of laid out, everything looks good, we're going to sand all of our pieces down with some 120 grit.
Alright, now it's time to start assembling this thing. We're going to be using wood glue, clamps and cauls to hold it together, and we've got our lines already marked out where each board needs to go.
Now we do have 3/8 of an inch spaces, some gaps between these boards. We think it's going to look really nice. We're going to do one side at a time, put the cauls on, and then we'll move over to the other side and glue those in place. that we have our project out of the clamps, the last thing to do is to give it a nice finish. So we're going to be using one of our favorites. You've seen us use it dozens of times. It's Watco Danish oil. This is in a natural finish. So our hope is that all these beautiful different species of wood will get to let their natural beauty shine through.
Okay, our Easter project is finished.
This wall hanging is done in the shape of a cross, as you can see, perfect for Easter, perfect for any time of year really for those of faith. This would be a great gift or maybe even a nice project to sell if you're looking into getting into the woodworking business. It's very simple. We're going to have plans, updated plans might I add, in the description below, so check those out. When we first started, our plans didn't account for the gaps here in the horizontal axis of the cross, and so this was a little more narrow. So what we ended up doing was just taking these planks and cutting them down to 5 1/8, and we think it turned out really nice.
We've got all kinds of different species of wood in here. You have walnut, you've got some hickory, some cherry, a couple rows of pine, some white oak, and the symbolism here to give new life to old wood.
If you liked today's episode, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Never miss an episode of Wood Songs by Russell. And you can visit us on Facebook and the World Wide Web at woodsongsbyrussell.com. Thanks again for joining us today. Happy woodworking!